We are here. We have made it to the final Saturday in September. It's grand final week in the AFL. I am hyped for this grand final, perhaps more than any other in the past, which makes sense because my team's in it. This is set up to be a cracking matchup. All non-Victorian grand final, Sydney versus Brisbane, the first truly neutral grand final since 2006, because neither of these teams ever play at the MCG, basically ever. I can't wait. In only 2 days, 18 hours, and 13 minutes, the 2024 grand final will get underway. What an amazing year of AFL it has been. There's been ups and downs this season for my club and pretty much every club. A crazy season full of wacky results. And I feel like it's fitting to see the first all non-Victorian grand final since 2006. That game we also played in. I hope that this game doesn't pan out like the way that one did. But anyway, let's start analysing and previewing this game and not ramble on too much longer. So it's first v fifth, and yet it doesn't really feel like first v fifth. Similarly to 2021, I feel like these are the best two teams in it. Obviously, Sydney finished top of the ladder. We're pretty much top all season long. But Brisbane were a tad bit unlucky to miss out on the top four. Inaccuracy cost them late in the season, and I thought that might cost them a shot at playing off in the grand final, but that wasn't the case. They've made it here. I think this is it's got a very similar vibe to the 2021 grand final, where it was first v fifth Melbourne versus the Bulldogs. I remember the Bulldogs, they were pretty much second or top two all season, and then squandered a couple of games late in the season and just dropped out at the hands of Brisbane. But then they managed to claw their way back into the grand final. The way these two teams got into the grand finals was very different. Sydney, in week one, they had to fight their way back against GWS. They looked gone for all money. It looked like their record against GWS in finals was about to go to 0-4. Then an Isaac Heaney masterclass got them over the line. That's probably one of the best individual finals performances outside of Dustin Martin, because his finals performances were just incredible, that I can remember. While Brisbane did it easy in that first week, they were up 60 points second quarter and the game is all but over. Sydney got the week off, but then Brisbane did the same thing as what Sydney did against GWS the following week. They had to come back from 44 points, incredible second or third biggest finals comeback, I believe. And then they fought it out in an absolute war against Geelong, one of the great preliminary finals, while Sydney took their turns in getting the job done in relatively easy, simple, relaxed fashion. They were pretty much on top for the whole game against Port Adelaide. So Sydney are definitely going to be better rested coming into this game, because obviously they had the week off after winning the qualifying final, and then the preliminary final was a relatively bruise-free match. Meanwhile, Brisbane had to get here the hard way, win every single game to get into the grand final, and the preliminary final in particular was a high pressure. It was a bruising matchup. There was quite a few big hard tackles, big hits, and they really had to fight it out right until the end to make it into this grand final here. So some injury news. Just today, it has been confirmed that Callum Mills will not play in the grand final. Apparently, he was training pretty strongly to get back from that hamstring complaint, which kept him out of the preliminary final, but he is not going to be playing. John Longmire has obviously learned from his mistakes. 2022, he played Sam Reid, who got he was injured coming into that game, and he ended up being subbed out at half-time. And John Longmire conceded after the game that it was a mistake to play him. Now, would have it made an 80-point difference? I don't think so, not even close. But yeah, he definitely wouldn't have wanted to make that same mistake this time around. And even in 2016, Callum Mills and Jared McVeigh came into the game under some injury clouds, and neither of them performed particularly well that game, and we did lose. Even actually played Ted Richards injured in the 2012 grand final. I didn't watch that because I wasn't watching footy back then, but I was just reading about it yesterday. So I didn't know about that one. That one did pay off for him. Obviously, our Sydney won the premiership that season. But yeah, he has had a record of playing injured players in grand finals, but not this time. Logan McDonald's got up. I was pretty sure that was going to happen because all reports after the game was that it was basically just precautionary. Obviously, he did get dropped in the 2022 grand final, so he definitely wouldn't have wanted to miss out on this one. Luckily for him, he is playing. He's definitely a better player than he was back then, and he hopefully will have an impact on this game. Meanwhile, on the Brisbane front, Oscar McInerney been ruled out of the game. That was pretty obvious. Obviously, dislocated his shoulder twice, went off to the hospital. He was never going to get up for this game. But other than that, well, Darcy Fort's going to come in replacement for him. That's been pretty much confirmed, I believe. So I can't remember the last time Darcy Fort played, to be honest. I'm not actually sure if he played at all this season. I remember he's played a fair bit of footy over the last few seasons, but this year I don't remember him ever playing at all, really. So that's the team news for this game. Obviously, the final teams for this game aren't going to come out until Friday, I believe, or maybe Thursday. But yeah, so Sydney unchanged and Brisbane the one change with their ruckman going out. I think that Oscar McInerney going out is probably it's going to be that's big for the Swans. Brodie Grundy hasn't been in the greatest form in the last few weeks leading into finals and even over his last two matches. He got beaten by Jordan Sweet, so he'd want to assert his dominance on this game. I feel like this is a big opportunity in a grand final to really stamp his authority on the game. He's going to be playing on a player who hasn't had a lot of experience at the AFL level this year. He should really look to dominate this game and really try and set up a win for his team. I'm hoping he does that. I think he should do that. Head to head, the two teams have played off once this year. Brisbane won that game by 2 points. That was at the Gabba. The Swans that was when the Swans injury list peaked this year. We haven't had to deal with too many injuries this year. Had a few at the start of the year when Luke Parker, Taylor Adams, and also Callum Mills went down. But then after that, for a good 10-15 weeks, we didn't really have to deal with any injuries at all until it all compounded at once. Tom Papley and Dane Rampy both went down in that game. James Rowbottom, I believe, missed that game as well. And I think that Justin McInerney might have been out because he did his PCL. I'm not sure if it was the previous week or a couple weeks beforehand against North Melbourne. So we had a few injuries that game. We were down to only like 2 or 3 on the bench by the end of it. And that seemed to really take a toll on us that game because we did go down by 2 points. This time around, we'll hopefully be in much better shape on the injury front. Hopefully no one goes down in the first half of this game like what happened in that previous matchup. It's at the MCG on a neutral deck where Brisbane did win their preliminary final last week, and I think their MCG hoodoo is all but done because they won there earlier in the season against Melbourne quite comfortably. They did lose in a heart-stopper to Collingwood. That probably would have brought back a bit of PTSD for them, but a couple years ago, they beat Melbourne in the final at the MCG. So I think that whole MCG hoodoo that they had going for a while is done. I don't think that's going to be a factor for them in this game. Sydney at the MCG, they're 2-1 this season. Their 2 wins were against pretty mediocre teams at the time. Collingwood started off 0-3. We got them right at the right time at the start of the season when they had a bit of a hangover, and then Hawthorn. We played them at the MCG, absolutely smashed them. But that was back before they really hit their straps. They were 1-5 at the time. They'd only just gotten their first win over North Melbourne, who were winless at the time. So I don't think that that Hawthorn team can be compared to the one that made it through to the semi-final. So this really is a neutral game. I don't think either team really has an advantage at the MCG. So let's just cut to it now. I think we've talked about enough. Let's get to the predictions. So I'll go over my first goal scorer and Norm Smith medalist, as well as just my tip. First goal scorer. We haven't kicked the first goal in either of our two finals. We're not particularly good starters, so I'm probably going to tip a Brisbane player to kick the first goal. I'll go with Callum Archie. He's been playing well. Not that really matters when it comes to first goal scorer, but I reckon Callum Archie can slot through Brisbane's first. As for my tip, I'm going to have to back in my team. I'm going to have to back in the Swans. You can't tip against your team in a grand final, and I genuinely do believe that we are better placed to win this game. With McInerney going out for the Lions, that's huge for them. I think Brodie Grundy should dominate, get back into some good form for this grand final. And I feel like, even though they beat us earlier in the season, a lot went their way that game. The venue, and then some injuries to us. That isn't hopefully going to be a factor this time round. And I think that we are the better team. We've been the best team all year, apart from that stretch where we played like poo. I'm not really sure what happened with that stretch of games. A lot of them were close losses, but then we had a couple of real stinkers. But we're back. We're back to our best. We've peaked at the right time. Yeah, I think we'll win. I'll tip us by 23 points. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think we are comfortably the better team. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me. So yeah, Swans by 23 points. And Norm Smith medalist, you can't go past Isaac Heaney. He's been best on ground in the two finals. They're probably going to try and tag him. Port Adelaide did try to do a job on him last week, but he still got a hold of them. So you'd think that Jared Berry probably goes his way. Maybe not a hard tag, because you probably don't want to place real hard tags on any of our midfielders, because that'll just let the other ones get off the chain. So I think they're probably got to put a bit of work into Heaney. Maybe not a hard tag, but I'm confident Heaney can get through it and put in another fantastic finals performance. So that is going to wrap up this preview of the 2024 Grand Final. Let me know who you are tipping in the comment section below. Hopefully it's the Swans. But yeah, I cannot wait for this match. I am yet to see the Swans win a premiership. I wasn't watching footy, like I said earlier, back in 2012. I've seen 3 grand final losses. I don't want to make that 4 in a row. I'm not sure if I can handle a 4th grand final loss in a row. Hopefully it doesn't happen. If it does, I don't know what I'm going to do. But that is going to wrap up this video, guys. I hope you all did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.